It will be last presentation before the lunch, and we have to leave one presentation for the time after lunch. No. We hope to be in time before lunch. Okay. Please.
Okay, can you hear me? Good, thank you. So I'm Noam from Eilat, Israel, International Birding and Research Center of Eilat. And we will talk about population structure of and age-related timing of spring migration, and also community-based conservation, as I just added it to the presentation, and I thought it is important and crucial to bring it here. So we all know the status of the Steppe Eagle, but I thought it's a nice picture, so I leave it anyway. This is their distribution range and probable migration routes. And I will be talking about, do you see the small star? This is Eilat down there on the western side in southern Israel. We all have to remember the findings of 5,000 to 6,000 Steppe Eagles in rubbish dumps in Saudi Arabia, where it was described as 65% of adults were adults. And I don't think it's such good news, but this data of 65% adults is, I think, pretty unusual, and that will follow what I'm going to say. So these wintering birds in Saudi Arabia, pretty interesting. That's a big number. The autumn migration is usually what we know through Bab el-Mandab, Yemen, and some of them, thousands, pass through Eilat also in autumn, but most of spring migration is passing through Eilat. Eilat is important bottleneck, not only for Steppe Eagles, but for many birds, and it is a great responsibility, because so many birds pass there, and at the same time it's an opportunity to monitor the world population and also to help them, at least on our stretch of the flyway. So according to literature, this is the usual way of Steppe Eagles, Suez to Eilat, then to the east. Nevertheless, remember this movement between Suez to Eilat, it will be relevant soon. There is also movement, we've seen it also with transmitters presented before, towards the central part of Israel and the western side, along the Dead Sea, Israel and Palestine. And some passage also crossing the Red Sea, arriving Eilat. This is how it looks like in Eilat region. The bird sanctuary is marked with blue arrow there. They sometimes come to drink there. Drinking spot is an important factor. I'll talk about that. And this is the route coming from Suez. Swear to God, never saw any bird coming this way. So it is very weird, because the literature and some transmitters data, we would expect them to come this way, but they are not. So, it's important to remember that the Steppe Eagle has very diverse migration routes, and Eilat is just one of them, and you can see some transmitters presented here. And you can see that one bird at least did the Suez-Eilat route. So our method is 2 count stations, 5 kilometers apart, sunrise to sunset, and we have a very strict protocol how to run this survey, starting from the 1st of February, when the first Steppe Eagles migrate, until the 10th of April, when we don't see any more of these. There is a protocol, written protocol, if you're interested to do a raptor migration survey, especially for Steppe Eagle. It's available, and you can just copy-paste it. We collect through Trektelan, like other count stations of bird counts do, and it gets really, really busy. This is our count station. We count and estimate about 500,000 steppe buzzards, about 600,000 honey buzzards, 60,000 Levant sparrow, which are more or less the whole population, and about 17,000 Steppe Eagles, which is globally endangered, that we know. So this is how it looks like. Most of the pests come along the sea, which contradicts the assumption of coming from Suez. and a bit to lesser extent, this is a low mountain station getting them, and high mountain station getting smaller numbers. Later with the buzzards, it's changing, it's shifting. We have done a survey from 2015 to 2018, 4 years in a row, and we decided not to do it yearly because we don't have the resources, and I don't think it makes any sense to do every year. So 2024 to 27, next year, this is our next count, and we are already organizing ourselves there. We are still not having funds, but I'm sure it will happen. I have no doubt. These are the results that I've shown last time in Altai. First of all, you see the standard deviation is good, is low in our account in 2015 to 18. Not as good before, so I don't know how to trust this data. But what we could see that along 30 years, we have a 20% decline that doesn't really correspond with the data of much faster decline described from the breeding grounds. So maybe something else. We are talking about birds arriving from Africa, and I think maybe something good is happening in Africa that doesn't happen in other places like India and what we heard about Nepal. But that's what we see, and I will be very happy to show results when we do the others the next years. Steppe buzzard, similar trend, doesn't decline that much. Don't see anything significant here. You can see with your eyes a small decline, but that's all. The timing, you can see end of February, beginning of March. But if this is a daily of 2017, you can see that it fluctuates. Steppe buzzards do not fly every day. When the wind conditions aren't good, they stop, wait for better conditions. I don't know if other people have seen it. We see it very clearly, and then they continue. But the red ones are adults, and the green ones are juvenile, and the blue ones are immatures. So this is to show it a little bit better. You see that actually they are not migrating at the same time. The adult birds are picking around middle, third and fourth week of February, while the younger birds, the sub-adults, are actually migrating much later, and their peak is completely different time. Yes, and this is pretty interesting. If we put it into percentage, you can see it very clearly. The red line is still the total, but you can see how many of the birds are adults and youngs. What's the most important data in my eyes is that 72% of the birds passing in Eilat are adults, 4 years old and more, the breeding population. And this is, I don't think anybody else got any result even close to that. And in February, it's 95% of the birds. These are adult birds. I try to compare to other places, and striking results. You can see in Eilat 72%. In the past, in past surveys in the 70s, 80s, 90s in Eilat, it was described to be 70 to 60% adults, as corresponds with our data, and it was not, I don't know how accurate it was, but Beersheva, this northern passage, I'll show you later, just 10% are adults, 90% are young, and in Suez, another interesting thing, only 30% are adults. Maybe it's the timing of the survey, but I can tell you from my experience as 40 years as birdwatchers, adult steppe eagles don't pass in central Israel. They only pass around Eilat, and the young ones do. So we are talking about two separate also migration routes, and I show it on the map. These are the percentage and the location. Suez, you see 30%, 72%, makes no sense, right? Then goes east, and 10% towards there. And what's coming from Sharm el-Sheikh? That's a mystery, nobody knows. Probably lots of adults, as I can. And this is probably a very important passage, because almost 100% of the birds we see in Eilat actually come from the south, and it's very, very clear. This loop migration, this U-turn, never saw it. I also try to compare. It's not a very relevant comparison, but because it is spring and autumn, and it's also the western flyway to the eastern flyway, but this is the only data we have about count stations of migratory birds. I'm saying I'm the only one talking about something like that. And 72 in Eilat, and you can see that in Nepal, Subedi and the Roder, they counted 40 to 44% only of adult birds going south. So to result the summary results, different age groups, phenology differs. Adults leave Africa or travel faster. As far as I know, they leave earlier. Different age groups migrate via different routes, and Eilat's bottleneck is used mainly by adults, which makes it very important bottleneck. And I want to talk about our way to do conservation for this. This is going to be much more colorful now. Our way to do conservation in Eilat, and we heard a lot about regulations and policy and surveys and counts. Data is, of course, the base of every conservation act. This is our legitimacy to advocate. But at least in Eilat, and I'm sure that it will work in other places, community-based conservation is very, very powerful. Volunteers, events, and I will show you a little bit. This is how our kids come to our community events, and this is how we go to schools to teach about migratory birds. And the tool is a bird sanctuary. It's a place where it's very important for birds, and there we do educational, even environmental art. It's an environmental culture hub. People go there, and some of the people have been, so they know what I'm talking about. Of course, nature comes first, so there are core areas with no entrance for people, while the middle is used for audience, for people to come. We have 125,000 visitors every year, and it's rising from year to year, so the exposure is very, very good. In this area is the intensive area. It's a visitors infrastructure, which is even urban. You can even find there plants that are not native, just to make people feel very, very safe, like in their garden. And this place is open 24/7, entrance free, of course, accessibility, language, handicapped people, etc. There is friendly staff, toilets, etc. Everything you need, a shop, bird ringing station, guiding, and information center. So people can really relate to this place as very friendly and a place to study and to connect to birds. And this is how it's built, places to talk to people. The ringing station is open to the public, showing birds, including raptors. We catch a lot of steppe buzzards and Levant sparrow during our monitoring, sometimes eagles too, and people can see what we are doing. We are researchers that work in the open with people, in front of people, information center, shop, etc., even a bird watching center for kids. And artists feel very free to express themselves in our area. The whole place is covered with art that artists create. And we do community events 5 times a year. Next one is tomorrow, and I'm missing it coming here. I told Elvira I can't come, but she really wanted me to come, so here I am. 4,000 people arrive in 2 days and gives me a chance to talk to them and tell them steppe eagles must be protected. How? We know how. Give us the credit and support us. And this is my daughter up down there. You see, people. Everything has to do with environmental culture happens here, and even weddings. People love the place. So this is the impact. Wind turbines, 13 of them. How did we manage to get rid of this problem? It's a kibbutz. Kibbutz is a community event, a village that have one bank account and they decide everything by a vote. So how do you convince a kibbutz of 100 people to let go of $1 million per year and vote no for wind turbines to save steppe eagles. This is community work. Regulations would not have worked. It was only community that did the job, and these 13 and another 4 other farms are not going to be built because of this. I'm finishing in a second. These are communication towers, and the water and drinking safety. Another project, the sewage ponds, how to make it much safer for birds, migratory birds, even perches that I talked about. It's more relevant in our place, and there is no decline in the birds around. And this is how it looks like. Another project with the kibbutz, how to make all the habitats better for birds and safer for birds. And the Guardians of the Flyway International Regional Workshop and courses that we do about community bird conservation. So you are welcomed, and of course, Nature Parks Authority doing more, and you can join us for our survey that starts next year. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.